Howdy, folks. Welcome back. I told you I would be back. All right, let's get this show on the road here. Give me a second to get set up here. And while we're taking a moment to get this ball rolling, let me take a second to thank you for taking a moment of your precious time to be a part of this precious family. Okay. And many of you know what I'm talking about. You've stuck around to the spiritual report, and that's what you're here for. But we got to take care of the technicalities here first and do the solar and all the other reports too. So let's back on up here. Here we are, 11/3/24, November 3rd, 2024. Here's our little event going on here on stereo A. So the other instrument captured it, but not as well as this one did. So I'm going to let that play for a second while a few more people gather and you guys say hello to each other in the chat. And thank you again for taking a moment of your time there. I get everything lined up. Get my pointer. Where did my pointer go? Oh, there it is. All right. What a day, you guys, huh? Did you guys feel it? Are you guys feeling the sensory overload? That's what I put the question marks on there. Do you feel this like your senses have been sharpened a little bit? You hearing things people say a little clearer and seeing things a little clearer now? All right, let's go ahead and just hop on this opening frame real quick here and take care of business. Okay, now this one usually takes a frame about every hour. So here we are, opening frame 053. As we plug through this, you can see our spire region here where our vent's coming off. Over here, you can see our little black object right there with the plasma out in front of it, dammed up. Over here, you can see, you're also here, you can see your object here with plasma around the front of it, draping back down the sides again. Okay, and not many frames to look at. Let's just do it one more time, frame by frame. Hello, you guys. Well, the chat seems to be working a little bit now. So, all right. So there we go. Go ahead and get that started. That loop playing really quick so you can see our event. And it appears that over here, you can see just faintly, just off of this object, another little moon trailing along with it, another little satellite. So thank you, Tiger's Eye and Dawn, for being here, and everybody else that's lurking in the background. Thank you for being here. All right, so there's your event right there. What I want to do really quick is back out of this one. It's stereo A. We'll go up to here, take a little peek here, but it's very choppy, and we're missing some data. So that's kind of why we didn't start at this one, because it's very, choppy. And what I do want to pick out of this here really quick, let me just get to the opening frame here, if we could even find where the opening frame is on this choppiness. All right, there it is. So starting here at 024, you can see our spire region, and this is our event that we saw just a minute ago on stereo A coming out right over here. And then as we kind of go through this a little bit, boom, boom. And over on this side, you can start to make out the object here. Then we skip. So there's our last best frame right there at 224. And then we skip to 648 by the time it's all over. But look back here, you can see this flow going around something back over here too. So there was something bigger maybe back hiding over here, and this little smaller one was pulled away possibly from that one. Anyways, that continues on. Now this little streak right here, okay, we got some kind of craft out there streaking around, okay? And let's just go ahead and pull it on up a little bit. You can see the instrument reacting to it here. Okay, so this thing is streaking right through this event right here, kind of trying to draw your attention to what's over here by streaking through there. Let me grab this. Okay. And I'll let you decide which direction you think it's going, but it looks like it started over here and it's streaking this way. And there's the very front of it, the little object's right up front here, and leaving this streak that's probably being ionized by, which is, illuminated, electrified and illuminated. It's being ionized by the solar winds and whatever material's coming off the sun through there. Okay, so streaking through there, that it's ionizing particles, and you can see that it leaves this little glowing streak. And kind of, I've seen these things kind of zip through here to draw attention to a certain area. And that's what it seems to kind of be in this case. I'll let you be the judge of that. You guys are mature adults here. You can do this too. So, but streaks through there. Whoops, if we can continue on here, please. Just a tad bit more of that button. Sorry. And then we shift again. So pretty wonky, pretty wacky, but you can see this event that came out right up here. We skip. It's a little tad bit later, and then our thing shoots through that region. So I'll let you be the judge of this. You can come over here to this instrument too and click away and stuff, but you can see that we had a little event there, a couple little events, an object, and then a different kind of object as well. So no use starting that broken flip book up. We'll come back to this really quick and leave that sitting there in case we have to reference it. Okay, so there's your loop for today. Let's come on over to the solar ham here and start off up here with our solar flux indice. It's at 241. Now it's down 10 points, so it was at 251, and we were at like 270. So slowly but surely, 10 points at a time, we're descending. Our sunspot number count is still in the red. We're down 22 sunspots. A bigger object like that with a lot of satellites, maybe, 19 satellites in one big object, and now we're 22 sunspots less. I have a feeling these things are interacting with the sun, causing our sunspots. Our area is still in the red, but that doesn't matter at this moment because what I want to talk about is right here. There we go. This big old patch right there has no opposite polarity except for over here. And that one's pretty strong too. But they're not close. They're two separate sunspots. It could reach over, but I don't see that happening. Meanwhile, we got 3881 here that's a little bit closer, but they're not touching. There's a little bulge in between them. So we don't really have to concern about that one. It's this little patch that's coming into view now that we should kind of watch, because you see this tight configuration. Let me get in as tight as I can for you guys on that one. Okay, where's my slide? There we go. So hopefully it's picking it up a little bit better. There we go. 38, 83, and 84. This region, you see this complexity right here, this jumbled mess, and then this little jumbled mess here. These things look a little suspicious. Okay, so we'll have to watch that region. And then look what's coming over here. 3886 back over here, coming around the limb. There's another good sized patch right there. All right, so usually these things are indicators of these objects interacting with the sun. And this is where you see your spire regions coming off, which act like compass needles pointing towards a magnetic field. Okay, so other than that, everything else over here is leaving the vicinity, so they're all kind of out of the picture. But over here is our new little batch to watch. Okay, now what I want to do is slide and dip and see how fluxed we are. Goes X-ray flux, that is. All right, so here's a little M flare event that we had here going into the next day. we could take a peek at this if you want. You don't want to see our latest M flare, huh? Oh, well, that's too bad because we probably can't see it anyway. But we're going to give it a shot. Refresh this. Nothing here, but look down here at stereo A. Not much, just a couple frames, 3, 4 frames. Let me just go ahead and click those away. Ooh, right there. There's your next event coming out right there. And you can see this little satellite, this black spheroid. This is a smaller moon or a satellite. And when I say satellite, I don't mean a man-made satellite. I mean as if another body that orbits a bigger body. Something that orbits like a satellite. Okay, so a moon, a satellite, or some other heavenly body that orbits a bigger one. And we tend to see these little moons erupt first, and then the big object pass by, and then trailing moons after it for a minute. Okay, so this looks like the little indicator of another bigger event about to pop off right there. And that's the last frame that we have of it right there. So there's your M flare right here popping off, and then you can see we're starting to get another little one right here. Okay, and we'll track that a little bit later, see what it turns out to be once we get into the show a little more here. Okay, meanwhile, your 3-day geomagnetic forecast, all clear, all good for the next 3 days. We'll see how that goes, okay, because that's always been known to surprise. Sometimes we see this clear forecast coming and then something just out of nowhere. So even though it says all clear, at this channel, we're not surprised if there's a sudden bump due to these objects. Now, a CME or something might pass in a different direction, but the object passes by us and creates long duration delayer absorption events with proton storms and all sorts of great stuff. So all clear for the next 3 days, and I pray it stays that way. I would love for it to stay that way. We do not need any more geomagnetic activity. I'm telling you, we don't need any more. But unfortunately, real quick, X flare 35% potential right there. Okay, so we got to watch out. We're X flare heavy really quick. Here's an M flare, and then there's something else about to erupt right there. Meanwhile, that was a 3.8 M flare that we saw there with a type 2 radio emission. Okay. Also here on your auroras, you can see a little bit of hint of yellow coming into view here. Not so much on the bottom, but right here, you can see a little bit of yellow starting to flare up in there. And you can see that we've been active. All right. And our KP is at 4. And we've hit 4 2 times in a row. And now we're starting to see a little hint of yellow. So we might see a 4.5, maybe 5 or something here in the future. Okay, so we are absorbing a little bit of energy right now. Meanwhile, your 3883 is the beta gamma delta and growing. All right, that's one to be concerned about, is beta gamma delta already and still growing. The other 3878 is beta gamma delta as well, but it's declining. Usually when they're declining, it's the event is over. You know, the object and its satellites or moons or whatever has interacted and is withdrawing, and then these start to decline. Okay. The other ones, 71 and 69, are beta gamma, but they're either stable or declining. So that's good. But we still got to watch 78. Or no, this one is the main one right here, 3883. It's beta gamma delta already and still growing. So there's your potential for X flares, is this one right there. All right. A longer duration M3.8 solar flare was just observed around AR 3883. Yep, that's the old one we were just talking about. In the southeast quadrant, peaking at 140. Okay, somewhat of a coronal mass ejection may be associated with this event based on coronal dimming seen in the latest imagery. A further update will be provided whenever necessary. The updated imagery, courtesy of LASCO C2, shows a coronal mass ejection emerging following the M3.8 flare. It shows a CME emerging following the 3.8. So far, it appears to be headed mostly to the east, and another update will be provided. So, since we're lacking some tracking, let's do some track lacking. All right, let that load up for a second. Okay, you can see your CME moving away in this direction. Now, it doesn't mean your objects move in this direction. They interact sometimes with the magnetic field lines of the sun. When they bump, they spark and they arc and they cause a CME. So even though the CME isn't due to hit Earth, the passing object that caused this might pass within our range and interact with our magnetic field. We'll see. I pray it doesn't happen. I pray that this goes away and we don't absorb any more energy. Okay, so there's your tracker there. Also, I want to pop this one open over here because they're showing a little impact around the 4th right here. And I just want you guys to see what they're talking about here. There we go. All right, so impact right about late on the 3rd, right on the cusp of the 4th right there. And they're showing a similar trajectory, most of it going south. When you look at this side cut view, most of it going south of the planet. This is the top down. So most of it going to the, behind us and to the south. But you can see we still clip the outer edge of it right around the 4th. Okay, now that 4th right there is something to take note of in our weather report later on. Okay, so there's that. We did all that great stuff. Yeah, look, here you can see it popping out down here. Why do these guys have all the frames? Keep going. Oh, they don't have all the frames. All right, well, moving on. So we got out of that. Just real quick here. Look at this CME right here. This was 11/4/24. This is our latest one right here, I think. 212 UTC. This is probably our new little M3 or this latest flare right here. The 3.8. Looks like there's something right in there, possibly another one up in there. The plasma, interacting with two different magnetic fields gets jumbled in between, stretched and shared, possibly. Okay, let's get this. With a number of sunspots heading for the southwest limb during the next few days, we look at what will be taking their place. New sunspot region 3883 showed steady growth during the past 24 hours and is currently producing C flares, and was the source of an M1 flare at 1735. So this is the M1 from November 3rd. No, that says the 4th. This is our latest one, 212 on the 4th. Here's the 4th, here's 212. So that's our latest one right there, is this image right here. Okay, and we could see two different objects right there interacting. And what looks to be a bigger splay out here, reaching back to something that might be just out of frame there. Okay, let's move on. Now, a big eruption on the comet P29 or 29P. Comet 29P Schumann has just undergone its most intense series of eruptions since 2022. At least once, ice geysers on the comet surface has erupted 3 times since November 2nd, brightening to the cryovolcanic comet. A comet is having volcanic activity. Even if it's cryovolcanic, it's still volcanic activity on a comet. Why? Because all the heavenly bodies are having volcanic activity, even the comets that come in. Okay. At least one geyser on the comet surface has erupted 3 times now since November 2nd, brightening the cryovolcanic comet 100-fold, which was 5 magnitudes. I expect to see the developments of a complex expanding debris cloud over the next few days. Yep, that would probably be happening too. Now, back a long time ago when we were Bennett, Suspicious Observers was giving a little dictation on the changes of some of the other planets and what some of the side effects other planets were receiving. So I wrote down a list of all those side effects that were happening to the other planets in our solar system, and that became a list of what to look for next. And we checked off everything on that list, okay? And it was because the same effects are happening solar system wide. And here we have volcanic activity. Even if it's cryovolcanic, it's still exploding from the inside out. So we're seeing cryovolcanic activity in our comets. Now, solar max in the sun's southern hemisphere at the end of October, Turkish astronomer made a composite image of the month's sunspots all 31 days. Okay, we are in the southern part of the sun. We don't rest right here at the equator of the sun. We're just a little. We're located. Our Earth is located a little further south than the hemisphere, than the equator of the sun. So more sunspot region in our zone. There are more sunspots in the sun's southern hemisphere, more than 3 times as many, according to the Solar Influences and Data Analysis Center. And this is the 4th month in a row the southern hemisphere has significantly outperformed the north. 4th month in a row, it has significantly outperformed the north. What's going on? Solar physicists have long known that the 2 hemispheres of the sun don't always operate in sync. Solar max in the north can be offset from solar max in the south by as much as 2 years. Oh, is that what it is? Oh, boy, these solar physicists keep bending rules here. But anyways, here's their wonderful little graph that kind of matched their theory here, okay? You can come over here and check this out more if you want to. Let's get onto our sensory overload. Okay, here we are over at the Schumann, and this is our core spins inside the shell, or the outer core. Inside the planet is the dynamo of the core shell effect. And when the core spins inside of its shell or outer core, that creates our magnetic field. It propagates out from the surface of the planet out into space, and it resonates at a certain frequency, actually 7.83. And that's the heartbeat of the planet, is the electromagnetic field that protects us from the sun. It's generated by this dynamo inside the planet. It's much like a small little motor for a fan. If you put electricity on the poles of this little motor, the shaft will spin and it'll spin a little fan or whatever's connected to it. If you disengage the battery and you spin the shaft manually with your hand, you can produce electricity coming out the poles. It works forward and reverse. It's a motor and an alternator. Okay, well, very much like that process is the process down below in the core of our planet. And you can see that we were going along pretty smooth. We have some scraping going on where the boundary between the core and the shell has narrowed to where it's starting to rub and scrape, kind of like an old set of brakes on your car or whatever. Eventually they start to rub just a little bit and start to grind and squeak. And we're seeing that grinding and squeaking in the lower frequencies up here, but we still had good continuity at our 7.83. Then all of a sudden, whammo. Okay, this comes out of nowhere and just gut punches you, and you have no idea what's going on. Your day just went kaplooey, woo, something happened. So we take on a bunch of pressure. The shell and the core are on the verge of grinding. Then we absorb a bunch of pressure and we start grinding really hard. That's what this is. This is lower frequencies, still 7.83 as well, but very intensely. Okay, so we had a pressure buildup. There's new insight. Good. I'm glad you made it tonight. I saw you earlier and I was hoping you would stop by. You didn't miss much. We're just kind of plugging along through the show. Anyways, we've had a buildup of pressure down below, okay, and we've had some slow release. It tapered off. We're still kind of grinding, kind of tapering slowly, but then we get some good continuity. It gets a little weak for a second, but then we kind of come back to life right there, so that's good. Just FYI, you had a bumpy ride today. Could you sense it? Can you guys feel what's in the air? Can you sense the anticipation, the anxiety of this entire world all waiting on the day after tomorrow? And that's why it's important we do our spiritual work, because this stuff comes out of nowhere and it affects your emotions. It affects you physically, mentally, and everybody else. Everybody else starts acting out of character and you're wondering what's going on. And while you're feeling crappy, well, this is going on in the background. The core and the shell are grinding. And this frequency emanates from the surface of the planet out into space, but then it hits our ionosphere and bounces back down as an echo. And that's what this instrument does, is it detects the echoes that are bouncing off the ionosphere, and these are the hum of the earth, and there's your core grinding, and then we tapered out of some pressure that built up down there. Meanwhile, it kind of rattled your cage a little bit today. Now let's come on over here to our null school here and get started over here. I've got to set this up. I was taking a peek at the polar vortex there earlier. Okay, so here we are. Here's your equator, and now we have air passing the equator up into the northern hemisphere now. This convergence zone, your intertropical convergence zone that should be down here at the equator, has shifted 15 degrees higher, okay? It's not the planet moved, but our convergence zone has shifted. Something has changed, okay? This is not normal. You can see it happening over on this side a little bit. Actually, we're seeing a better thrust downward with our winds right here, keeping this convergence zone a little bit further south right there. But it is still passing the equator. Okay, over on this side, it was curling way up and going into India. That whole event has stopped, and now you see it a little bit in this region there. Okay, now what I'm going to do is we're going to take you up a little higher in altitude to where our storms reside. And we're going to talk about what's going on in the middle of the country. Last night, about 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, all hell broke loose out there in Oklahoma. We were talking about this setup happening the day before yesterday on our weather report, and I was telling everybody watch out for that happening, especially during the wee hours of the morning. And sure enough, it all came together, and a lot of damage. Nobody killed so far, but thankfully nobody died, but it did do a lot of damage, and we're still seeing this flow. All right, you see how this whole ridge is taking air up here, bringing it down and back around and up. The main part I want you to notice is it's drawing warm, moist air off the Gulf and bringing it up through here, clashing with cold air that's being shoved over Canada and down into here. This convergence zone right here, sliding east, is where we're getting our activity, our intense weather activity. Okay, a couple little storms to look at. There's this one out here, but it looks to go up and over. Big monster storm growing out there. Okay. Another little vortex popping up right here. Watch out. That thing's going to blossom into, especially in this hot water, it'll probably blossom into, grow zones are changing too. Blossom into a bigger typhoon for this region. So hold on tight in that region as well. Okay, so let's keep moving. We're gonna come over here to particulates, to our dust and extinction aerosol. What a lovely term. Okay, so we come over here and you can see that the sandstorm and particulates that are blowing off of Africa are going across the Atlantic, and these keep the cloud tops at a certain height. They don't really blossom too high, keeping your thunderstorm activity down, which is keeping your hurricane production or your hurricane genesis, quelling the genesis effect. So this sand is good, and it's been happening for quite a long time now. I mean, not many people report on the sandstorm stuff, but it's been going since what, November of last year, and we're in November of this year. So yeah, about a year long ongoing sandstorm. And thankfully, because it's been keeping our hurricane production down a little bit. Sorry, I bumped the thing there. All right. So there's your sandstorm. You can see it's being pulled way up in here, up into the British Isles, past Spain and stuff. You can see that Saudi Arabia still has, and this whole Middle East area has their issues. But look at this. This has turned into one big like wall of sand right there. Oh, there it is. Wow. Okay, hopefully you can't see that. For those with eyes that do, we're moving on. Also, I want to report really quick here while we're here. Australia having its own sandstorm issues, okay? The geomagnetic effect also enhances the um it gives the static charge to the particulates. It makes them not lighter than air, but much lighter than they usually are and more susceptible to be airborne. And with all of our activity and our higher wind production and stuff, we're seeing sandstorms. Australia has its own independent sandstorm, and so was South America for a while. Slightly, it's blowing out into the coast here, out to the tip there. But all continents kind of having their sandstorm issues except for us. But you can see that it's not just Africa. Let's just say that it's Africa up in here. China had theirs as well. All right, so let's back on out of this and come over to our SO2. Okay, this is sulfur dioxide, not carbon dioxide, not CO2. This is SO2. This is basically vaporized magma. Okay, the magma is pushing up on the underside of the crust. The earth is expanding from the inside outward, but there's a shell around it called the crust, much like an egg. If you hard boil an egg and you overcook it, the eggs will pop out through the shell and crack the shell, and then you'll see cracks and perforations. So this gas being so hot, like vaporized magma, is pushing up through the crust. Here's your country divided. This side, very spongy, type surface crust or whatever, very porous. So this side of the country bleeding out. Over here, we got the Rockies, mountains, desert, hard granite, very thick, rugged, crust. So over here, we have perforations that are volcanic in nature on this side. So there's your country divided. No wonder why we're divided. If you see your mainstream media, that's your problem. They are just hell-bent on having you guys divided. Also, this activity, this gas comes out of the ground so hot that it sparks fires from underground. Now, Canada had this issue last year where a lot of their fires were started by these SO2 plumes. Well, right now, they got some good plumes, but no fires. Fire activity, has actually come down into the lower 48. And for right now, I don't see much fire activity except for this little guy right up there. But our fire activity is kind of quelled right now. Had little small ones there. Here we are, nothing down in Southern California. All right, so all the fire activity from this SO2 emissions is kind of quelled for a minute, but we do still have quite a good healthy batch pushing up through the surface. You can see how dark it is. Okay, and then we're going to come down through Mexico. You can see the volcanoes and stuff in Mexico have been going off. We got the over here, Yucatan Peninsula looks good, but you got Jamaica and Cuba and Dominican Republic. All these islands out here still emitting SO2. Okay, northern part of South America, all along the coast here. All these are independent sites. It's not one plume blowing down the coast. These little dots, there are like 4 of these little dots one time, back 7 years ago when this all started happening to me. And I think it was like BP Earthwatch that noticed them and said, hey, we got SO2 emissions coming out of the Sierra Nevadas. And everybody on the internet freaked and it got so much attention and everything. But now, look, there are millions of dots all around the world and nobody's even noticing, except for you here at this channel. Meanwhile, Fulcrum Point, nice and strong. Opposite side, pretty healthy. 5th dot, pretty organized and healthy. So all of them right there, even the secondary has really kind of come to life a little bit there. So we're seeing good emissions here. We have a bald spot there because of quake activity that reduced pressure, probably shifted some strata that blocked up some of the channels. So there was a bunch of little dots that were in this area that have gone, that have disappeared because of quake activity. As we come down the coast, you can see it is still very dark purple right here, and you can see that the winds have taken a lot of this SO2 out across the Pacific Ocean, or out into the Pacific Ocean, and even down on this side as well. So we have healthy SO2 emissions coming out of this region, even over on this side of the coast coming to life too. Take those fires off. All right, we're going to come on over, stop off at Hawaii, put your feet in the sand, put your feet in the water, take a deep breath, sit back, grab a Mai Tai, just listen to the waves roll in. Meanwhile, we have SO2 emissions coming out of Oahu. That's good because it's keeping volcanic activity from happening on that island. Most population is on this island, so we don't want to see volcanoes going off there. Meanwhile, we got emissions from the other islands. The Pacific Rim, being much like a bicycle rim, has a hub in the middle, so pressure comes around the edges and in the middle. It's going to vent wherever it can. Meanwhile, let's come on over to this side of the planet, back up for their time zone, and dive on in. As you can see, China here is getting very dark, they're turning into ribbons now. They're not just little dots anymore. These streaks are connecting up and turning into ribbons and little formations now. And this gas pushes up through it makes little alleyways or little shafts, like an elevator shaft that reaches down in through the ground. These little shafts form when the gas pushes up. Then water gets, inundates, goes down through that little shaft and erodes it away. Then gas comes back up, eroding it some more. Water goes back down, eroding it more and more. And this whole area is very spongy type crust. It's very porous. And over here, you can see this used to be a body of water that used to sit over this and has compressed it. So there's no emission sites there. But over on this side, very porous, very strong emission sites. And eventually, this is going to just dissolve. If we get too much pressure, that whole area could just pop. All right, here's Taiwan. Taiwan was having, being our little relief valve, and it hasn't done so much lately, and we're seeing stronger SO2 emissions as a result. Okay, so Taiwan darkening in. We have Japan here. It's a volcanic island system in itself, so you see SO2 emissions from there. Up there in Russia, all over the place. Come over here to India. You can see that this issue is happening here. This gas gets pushed up against the Himalayas here and can't push over because they're so high. So it gets concentrated in this area. It's been recycling over and over, and it's darkening in much like China is. Then we come over here to the Middle East, and you can see this area is starting to blossom with this effect as well. And yeah, very dark emissions there, over here on the Red Sea. So this area following suit, and no place is really exempt. We got all through Europe. Okay, out here in the desert, it's just all sand, but eventually that'll probably change too. Hey, Brian, could it cause liquefaction if an earthquake there? Yes, it would actually, liquefaction would be a lot easier induced because of that. Great question. Because a lot of people don't understand what liquefaction is, too. You shake something hard enough that that crust will turn into a quicksand. And that could all turn into quicksand quite easily. You put a 9.0 in this jelly type structure right there, it'll just dissolve and slough into the ocean. They're in big trouble. They better get on the right page and quit making threats. We won't even have a country to defend. All right, are we done there? No, we're not. We need to come down here to the island of Java. You see, the island of Java is a volcanic island, and it has a lot of SO2 emissions, a lot of quakes, a lot of volcanoes. So we come down here, see how coloration looks. It's very dark, so that's an indication our pressure is on the rise, or we did have a rise in pressure. We look over here at Sumatra, it's filling in. You see the little islands off the coast having SO2 emissions as well. These are volcanic islands having SO2 emissions. And when we do the volcanic report, you know, the 30 some odd that are at unrest that I don't even include, those are your ones that have SO2 emissions and stuff. So a lot of them are. Okay, Africa, South Africa has its issues. Oh, I want to come over here, show you Australia, and then touch base with our deep quake region. Here's Fiji, where our deep quakes originate from. It's having SO2 emissions. Same with Tonga over there. That's where the big volcano went off a couple years ago. Meanwhile, this little like pencil or boat type looking island right here has a few emission sites. And this is like a relief valve a little bit. It relieves pressure as it comes into the plate boundary system, keeping earthquakes and magnitudes down. Okay, so that'll come into play here in a minute. Okay, we're done with that. Oceans, we got to get to our sea surface temperature anomalies right now. Thank you, Lord. All right. So we have this big blob mess still going off up here. You see Tamumasi and some of the surrounding seamounts down here still spewing gas, you know, CO2, or I mean SO2, magma, even maybe metals, you know, from down below, creating hot water plumes all through this area. Taiwan the other day was surrounded. Remember, it filled in with yellow. That has receded a little bit too. Ooh, what was that Edgar Casey comment there? I wonder if that's what Edgar Casey learned from the ancient Indians. Frequency and resonance, Don says. Yes. There's more than that. You can see over here on this part, we're getting some yellow growing on the other side of the island right here. So there's still a fair amount of pressure around this region. They need a good quake in this region to reduce this pressure. Okay, as we come on down, we check out island of Java here. It used to be another relief valve. No more cold water around it anymore. A lot of hot spots that have opened up around this area. This whole area has all kinds of new little ribbons and new spots opening up. Okay. What was the other one? Oh, I want to talk about this one really quick here. We have this hot spot right here growing on the equator here. This is where our La Nina was starting to set up and take up shop. You can see the remnants of the little curl wave structure. It used to be nice and uniformed. Now it's all jumbled up, all diffused, all messed up. because of this hot spot and a couple little other spots that are opening around here. Okay, so that's kind of going to change weather patterns this winter. Our La Nina might be a little different this year, not because of the pattern itself, but because of an event on the ocean floor disrupting it. We come into here. I want you to look along the coast here. Okay. Say you got a category 2 that's out here, it gets into this area, it could intensify really quickly upon approaching landfall. The more the hotter the water, the more intense. But we still have cold water inundation along the backside of Florida. So if anything does get up in this area, it'll intensify as it gets to land. Anything that comes over here, it will die as it gets, it will weaken at least as it approaches land. Coming on over to our Juan de Fuca area. This side looks a lot better. It's actually kind of breaking up now. We're getting cold water that's kind of come down this backside of the crack right through here. All right, and then down, Juan de Fuca comes out here, goes up, zigzags like that up through there. So inside the plate, we still got a few little hot spots, but along the boundary is starting to clear up. And we've seen that 6.0 out there, and it did help in the coloration. So it did relieve some of the pressure out there and allowing more, cold water inundation in that region. So this structure here is kind of diffusing and weakening and falling apart. You can still see over here is strong, but our triangle shape that was all yellow has really, diminished. It's down to red and orange, so the intensification has died there. Also, right here, this pocket that was right here in the bay with our almond-shaped structure that was all yellow and red and has really, really diminished. So is the quake activity in this area. Quake activity has died down there because, we've seen a little reduction of temperature and pressure in that area. Still a little something going on there. This was really glowing really yellow and stuff the other day, but look down here. This is new. So we had a new opening here and a transfer of pressure went down here, I think. Because this whole area that was, gaining color, it was getting yellow up in this bay and getting yellow over here, has all receded. So that's a good thing for the West Coast. Meanwhile, over here, you can see we got our Gulf Stream going along, but we got a lot of heat up here at the North Pole or up in the Arctic that's melting ice and desalinating our Gulf Stream here. Another heat structure there. Let's just go ahead and put on our winds, not currents, our winds. Okay, and you can see how these affect our weather patterns or our weather currents, our wind patterns. It's created this upward effect coming off the Gulf up through the middle of America effect again. All right. Cold air slicing down, running into warm air coming up. Two structures, one going this way, one going that way, is going to cause vorticity and rotation. The storms are going to continue in that region probably for a minute. Okay, over here, hot air or warmer air over warm water, cooler air over cold water, warm air rises, cold air rushes in to replace it. Here, right here is cold air rushing in to replace it, causing rotation. And you can see that our thermal structures are causing our weather patterns and steering our weather. It's not so much the jet stream that's controlling our weather patterns, more so than our thermal structures on the ocean floor. Coming over here, let you take a peek at the conveyor belt structure. We have a big dip in it now. This little rotation right here that's going on out here has really put a dip in this thing, making it, dip way down, come over, go way back up. So we're getting a little wonky flow. But here you see this pattern coming off the Africa, going straight across Thankfully, we have all the sand in that region because that is setting up for, Hurricane Genesis, pointing it right past this hot water into the Gulf and up through the middle of America. So that would not be good. Thankfully, we have our sandstorm. All right. Did I talk enough or what? Okay, so there's that. Now let's come on over to the earthquake report. Bear with me for a second. I've been glitching out my computer. It's so intense that my moods actually mess with my machine. It's getting that bad. All right, here we go. Let's get on over to the get on over. So here's our deep quake region, Fiji, and our plate boundary system beginning. We start over here, deep quake region 5.0 down at 573. Our typical deep quake magnitude is mid-range 4. So what we're seeing is an uptick of magnitude down at depth. Okay, that will result in an uptick in magnitude at the surface. So it's also an indication that we have a new round of pressure that has built up down below, and it's relieving pressure coming up through the strata. So 5 magnitude at depth. Nothing so far in this whole system because we have this little island right here that acts as a relief valve. Again, like a slow leak in a bicycle tube. As you try to pump pressure in and there's a leak right next to the valve stem, it's not going to allow a lot of pressure around the rest of the tube. We have volcanic activity all through these islands anyways that relieves pressure. And then we get up to here, we finally get a 5.0. That's the same magnitude, but at the surface now. Nothing in our deep quake pit here, but a lot of pressure and energy being relieved here at Java, so much so that that's not even doing enough. We're getting earthquake activity, mid-range 4, on the flank of this whole volcanic bar. This is just like one big, almost like a sandbar, but a volcanic bar. And it's just little islands after. So this, let me pull that down. This is the top of the mountain. It goes down, down, down to the very ocean floor to the crack. So this is on the side of a mountain, which is the flank of this big volcano. Earth volcano is an indication of pressure. Looking at our fulcrum point here, fulcrum 15, this very thick mountainous crust. So we get deeper fulcrum point quakes. Meanwhile, 4.2 here at this surface here in Iran. 5.2 here at Greece, really close, 9 kilometers. So a very shallow quake, 5.2 here at Greece. They're going to get, they had a lot of activity while. Excuse me, they're starting to shake and roll a little bit. Now, this little spot has more than one quake. Cool little neighborhood growing out there too. Don't mind all these little square structures on the ocean floor. Nothing to see there. 4.9, Volcano Islands. What do we do with 4.9s here? That's right. So a bunch of 4.7s, 4.8, and 4.9. That's almost a bunch of 5s right there that have relieved a lot of energy at this site. Here's your plate boundary system. And yeah, let's just go ahead and I know you guys are like, what is that? Well, they're perfectly square. They look like kind of similar. Let's pull back just a little bit. There we go. And there's more up here. I saw more down this way, so let's go down. See how they kind of come to a little point? What's this last little? Is it eroded away? No, it's still a little structure of its own. But then I saw something a little bit further down. Yeah, what's going on right here? See, there's some more. And where's this at, Brian? Well, as we pull back, it's just off of Japan. You come down the plate boundary. You see where our little bow in it is right there? Right where our quakes are. And there's your little... Interesting, huh? Moving on. Nothing through this region. I'll do South America and everything first before we do America last. 4.2 at the surface on the Cocos plate. Magnitude check in the Dominican, mid-range threes. Okay, that's been the latest new norm. So 4.7 to the fulcrum point and a 4.3 along that part. We also have a plate boundary, 4.9. You know what we do with those? We're leaving energy at the surface there. Okay, let's go all magnitudes, please, into America. All right, so nothing in the fulcrum point because we've seen a lot of volcanic activity on the Kamchatka lately. We come into this region. No microquaking at any of the volcanic islands, mainly because we've had a 5.8 with a tsunami alert and a 4.1 that have relieved a lot of the energy in that region. Let's go to the tsunami alert 5.8. Let's see what magnitude these guys came up with. 5.7. Usually they're a tad higher. So 5.7 to 5.8 that we had there. Okay. No tsunami either. Energy pushing up through our fulcrum point area here. Latest little quake is the biggest one with a 2.0. Not much. Fulcrum point 1.8. Okay, coming into our Juan de Fuca. No quakes on the boundaries or inside the plate at all. But in this little region, just between the coast and the boundary, a 1.5 off Pistol River there. This is just above the fulcrum point. Almost, yeah, we could call it one. 3.4 here at Fortuna, California, down at 21. A little fulcrum point quake, it looks like right there. That's good. That's relieving energy in this region. Okay. Kind of quiet through California. Ooh, excuse me. Kind of quiet. And then here's your almond-shaped, teardrop-shaped structure, and very small activity, very minimal. And your biggest is 1.1, 1.6. This latest one is a 1.6. So little flurry going here. Latest little round of pressure, creating a little bit of microquaking in there, relieving energy, keeping magnitudes, quakes and quake magnitudes down for that region, which is good. Okay, we push on over to here. Man-made perforations in the crust cause 3.0 here at Stanton, Texas. Let's check out New Mexico. Biggest one, 2.8. Good, nothing on the New Madrid, nothing up the Craton, and just that one, which we already checked. All right, there's your earthquake report in a nutshell. You guys are hanging tough. Let's just knock them down. All right. Oh, gotta adjust for this part. Okay. Give me a second here. I broke my tripod and had to get a little phone stand thingy from a thrift store to get a new tripod working. All right, here we go. So let's just open this up. 36 erupting. That's currently erupting. 33 in warning, and 26 at unrest. A lot of the SO2 emission sites that you see are a lot of these volcanic sites that are at unrest. Okay, so 69 volcanoes total. Can we have this ticker back, please? 69 without counting these. Almost 70 volcanoes. If I told you 7 years ago when all this started happening to me that we would have 70 volcanoes 7 years later, you would have said, Brian, you sound like a seven nut. You sound like you're crazy. Well, I'll tell you what, here we are 7 years later, and we got 70 volcanoes, and I am still crazy about you. Let's get into it, shall we? Whoo, areas, yes. Oh, what's this? Nice little hot spot, a hot crack on the ocean floor. No, I was telling you the eggshell. We're going to see fissures and cracks opening up. The lava flow. Oh, no, this is the lava flow from a crater. It looked like it was on the ocean floor for a second there. Because this is the mountain right here. This is a crater. Whew. Good, because we don't want to see that, but that's what we're seeing, when we look at that thermal or the temperature anomalies. Back to volcanoes. Stromboli in Italy. Stronger than usual explosion took place from the central south crater on October 2nd. Karaminski had a blast of 10,000 feet. Sakurajima, 7,000. Suwanosejima, 6,000. Canalone, 9,000. Luatobi Flores, that's a different one, 40,000. No, 28,000 here. Yeah, discrete vent to 40,000 too. That's that flight level 40, but here we said 28,000. All right, Semaru breaking its 14,000 foot and going to 15, going full max at Semaru on the island of Java, where we see a lot of our venting happening and pressure releases. So Semaru has been just pumping every day. This volcano is just going off every day, multiple times a day sometimes. And here we are at full max, 15,000 feet. Ducono, 10,000. Popocatépetl, 22,000. Santa Guido still going. Fuego, 15,000. Sabancaya, probably in the 20s. Namiragira, ongoing, but a very feeble eruption. That is just in the last few minutes. Here is November 3rd. Look, it's 12:16. That was in the last 15, 16 minutes or so. Let's get into what was today and is now yesterday because, well, time flies at this channel, I'm telling you. And here's the map of insanity. Don't look too long at this thing. It'll desensitize you into thinking that this is normal activity. 7 years ago, there was like one volcano. Now they're all over the place, even down in Antarctica. Canlone. Oh, can lay on. Can lay on me, can lay on this, you could lay on anything. 9,000 feet. IBU or EBU, 7,000. Luatobi Flores, 40,000. See, this says 40,000. So it did. Luatobi Flores, explosive activity to 40,000. That is definitely an uptick in elevation there because of pressure down below. Remember I showed you that round of pressure that came in on the Schumann and then dissipated? Well, there's your dissipation right here. And don't swig olive oil out of the jar like that. Put it in a cup and just take a shot. Semaru, 14,000 right there. So earlier it was at 14. No, that's not the right elevation. Doesn't say. I thought that was it right there for a second. Ducono, 9,000. Popocatépetl, sporadic ash emissions. Santa Guido, 14,000. Fuego, 15,000. Sangay, yep, 21,000, usually in the 20s. Reventador, 14,500 feet. Sabancaya, 24,000. And Namiragira eruption ongoing. These are the lists that should be on the news, telling people you might want to back away from the volcano you live next to. All these currently erupting, any one of these can jump over at any moment. There's Can Leon right there. Should be over here. Very, very, very disturbing. Okay. This is all the volcanic activity above the water. 2/3 of the water, or 2/3 of the planet, the surface is underwater. So you take this list and you double it for the 2/3. This is 1/3, so you would double it. So you take these 70 volcanoes and double it. That's 140. Then you add the 70 to it again. That's 140 and 70 is 210. So we're over 200 volcanoes active, currently erupting, or in minor activity around the planet, underwater and above the ground. Okay, that's quite a bit. Okay, so let's do our weather, and our weather is going crazy because, well, we have many factors now. To create a raindrop, you need a particulate and you need water vapor. With the thermal heating of the oceans has put way more water vapor into the air, and with all the volcanic explosions putting more particulates in the air, you have just doubled and tripled and quadrupled your capacity for the air to hold water, and now your rain events are bigger, more intense. You got heavier downpours, more flash flooding, larger hail, stronger tornadoes, stronger hurricanes. Everything, the whole gambit of weather has intensified because of our volcanic activity, because of many factors, and the spiritual realm is a factor in it as well too. Sorry, I'm just kind of trying to get the best before getting into it. So this is the time frame we were talking about the other day, and here we are. Severe storms happening at nighttime in the middle of the country, where our cold air mass over here pushing in. You see all these millibars. This is the front right here, mixing with that warm, moist air coming up. Current conditions. Morning of the 4th. So again, tonight and through the morning hours, they could get caught with another tornado. Meanwhile, severe weather happening off the coast up here as well in British Columbia. The morning hours tomorrow morning. There's the noontime. Watch out up here at Seattle. Watch out in the noontime up there. Convection. Now you see cold air mixing with this. At convection, this quasi-linear storm front, this QLCS is formed right there. Could be dangerous at convection tomorrow. Oh. Oh no. Okay. That's gonna be very dangerous right there, and everybody be on high alert right now for tomorrow night, starting at noon, when these cloud tops start to form here and go severe. By convection, you're going to see that quasi-linear storm front, and then it just goes berserk right there. That is something to watch for. I would warn anybody that you know in that area, or if you live in that area, I would prepare for impact. There's the morning. This is going to be when people are sleeping. This is the morning, 4 a.m. Pacific. During this time frame, between that frame and this frame, people are going to be asleep in that region, caught off guard. I pray that we don't have a lot of deaths from this, but this is going to do a lot of damage. You're talking long track, possibly maxi tornado, large hail, high winds, possible derecho type effects. We don't even know what could happen here. And that's not far out. That's November 5th. That's the day after tomorrow. This is very concerning because it's tracking over the same area that's just got hit. Again, All right, that's the morning of the 5th. There's noontime. You see this wrapping up and getting this comma shape. Convection of the 5th. Hopefully it does that and does not intensify. So there's the convection the 5th, nighttime the 5th, morning of the 6th, noon, convection. You see this thing creeping in now. Nighttime of the 6th, morning of the 7th, noon. Look at that. Convection. They kiss. Nighttime. Start making babies. And there it is. Morning of the 8th right there. In that same similar region that just got hit today and yesterday. Oh, no. Okay, so cold air mass collision starting in the, actually starting back here when they kiss. So the morning of noontime of the 7th, bam, those air masses collide at convection. They don't blossom at nighttime, but in the morning time, it splits a little bit. You get this moist, cold mix right here, propagating in the cold air in the morning, and then noon of the 8th, convection, nighttime. Very small, but very compact, central, organized low right there. Nighttime of the 8th, morning of the 9th. Here we go, you guys. Morning time event again. Noon, convection the 9th, nighttime the 9th, morning of the 10th, noon, convection, nighttime 11th, noon, convection, nighttime 12, noon, convection, nighttime 13, convection, nighttime 14, noon, convection, nighttime 15. Okay, that's so far out there that we don't need to kind of go through all that. Oh, look at this though. This is way out there at November 17th. That's all subject to change. But look how big and organized this big low is, this big comma shape. How it's rotating here like this, drawing up severe weather there. Bam, really wide band right there. In that same region again. Everybody in this area right here is in the target zone now. All right, let me just go. All right, one more. So my main concern right now is the next 48 hours in this region, starting from right now because they have severe weather. It's just tracking over the same area. You're going to see flash flooding on just huge levels here, I think. Pray I'm wrong. Until, yeah, so starting here, morning of the 4th, noon, convection, nighttime the 4th, morning of the 5th. Everybody, morning of the 5th, nighttime of the 4th. Oh, shit. That was the, here, where'd it go? Pardon my French, I'm trying to stop cussing. I used to cuss like a sailor, and now I'm watching my language. So, cusp of the 3rd, 4th, right here is right there. So, we could possibly see a little bit of intensification. I pray that that doesn't happen. But there's my main concern right there. Morning of the 5th, all the way from right now through morning of the 5th for that whole entire region. Okay. And like you see, it's going to train over that area. One, boom. And then again, a little bit there. Okay. There's your astrophysics, geophysics, and it's quite a bit with all the politics and everything else going on. So we better just get on with our spiritual report and do the metaphysics and how you work. All right, so let me get this part going here. Maybe not. Get rid of some of these instruments first. Now we can open one. Oh boy. So, with all the anxiety in the air and all the anticipation and all kinds of just crazy, crazy emotions going on all over the world, not just inside you, it's everybody. And it's quite a feeling. Many of you probably feel it, and you're just like, whoa, this is different. So, gonna feel a little bumpy. So, we got to have something to hold on to, like a good foundation. And that's what we're gonna do is take your sensory overload and focus it where it should be. Go. That's pretty good right there, I think. And we'll, oh, I know. Let's do another one. Let's do this one instead. All righty. Did that one show up very well? Can you guys see that? You see that over the mountain? That dude hanging on a cross over the mountain there? That didn't turn out very good. Oh, where are we going here? I'm trying to get. See the pink fox? Yeah, don't look at that one. No, it's ugly. There's the wolf with another wolf right there. Where is the one that I'm looking for? There it is. All right. This funky one here of me again. Another image of me in the clouds here captured, and I recognize my own profile. I've seen my picture on the wall before. I know what I look like, and I know it's me because I blow smoke out my nose, and they're making fun of that. You can see the smoke coming out my nose. Pretty crazy. My face showing up in the clouds, showing up next to the moon, showing up all over the place, and showing up right here. All right, let's get to this reading. I got some stuff for you guys because I hear you. I feel you. I know. It's okay. It's gonna be all right. You need some comforting. Okay, what you're seeing is disturbing, and sometimes when you understand what the reason for all of these events going on, well, then it can be a little more comforting. Okay, so let's get this show on the road here, and let my consolation and my comfort bring joy to your soul. When anxiety and anticipation is welling up within you, come to me and pour out your heart. Then sit quietly in my presence while I comfort you, helping you see things from my perspective. I remind you of your heavenly destination, for you are indeed on your way to glory. You guys are indeed on your way to glory. You're going from glory to glory to glory every day, aren't you? You are on your way to glory. I infuse my love and my joy and my peace into your heart, mind, and soul. Okay, that is just a big mouthful right there. So we need that image right there. Get just a tad bit back up. Right about. That's right there. All right, perfect. You see that heart right there? You see it radiating out that love? I remind you of your heavenly destination. I infuse my love, my joy, and my peace into your heart, mind, and soul. So, when you are joyful, this changes the way you view the world around you. And even though you see much darkness, you can also see the light of my presence continuing to shine. Also, the joy in your soul gives you buoyancy, enabling you to rise above the countless problems in your life. Your joy gives you buoyancy, enabling you to rise. Once you have gained this perspective, you will discover that you can comfort others in the midst of their troubles. They will find in you the consolation that you have found in me. Thus, your joy becomes contagious, infecting those around you with joy in their souls and comfort in their souls as well. Right? So, they will find in you the consolation or the comfort that you have found in me. And thus, your joy becomes contagious, infecting those around you with joy and comfort in their souls. You guys are doing awesome at this, by the way. What else do I have? Yeah. And so find that joy, find joy in me, and for I am your strength. It is vital to keep your joy alive, especially when you're in the throes of adversity. When is it important to keep your joy alive? During adversity. So, whenever you're struggling with difficulties, you need to guard your thoughts and spoken words carefully. Because I make the same mistake sometimes and I'll slip and say the wrong thing. Or I'll be thinking some kind of thinking negatively. So, if you focus too much on all the things that are wrong, you will become increasingly discouraged and your strength will be sapped. As soon as you realize what is happening, stop this hurtful process, turn to me, asking me to help you with all your struggles. Take time to praise me, speak or sing or worship, read scriptures that help you rejoice, and remember that your problems are temporary, but I am eternal, and so is your relationship with me. That's where you should find joy. Your relationship with me is eternal. Your problems are temporary. Your relationship with me is eternal. So as you find joy in me, delighting in my unfailing love for you, your strength will begin to increase, which has happened. You guys' strength has increased because you're practicing your relationship with me. And that gives your strength. Your problems are temporary, but your relationship with me is eternal. So you can find joy in me and in my unfailing love for you, which that unfailing love for you is your strength. Here, where's it? That unfailing love for you right there is what gives you your strength. It should. When you see this and you see that this is real clouds doing the real thing here, that's what gives you strength. The real deal is what gives you strength. And that's what you're looking at here. Okay, and that's how you can find joy in me. And just remember, your problems are temporary. Your relationship with me is eternal and it gives you strength. And this is the joy of the Lord, which is yours for all time and throughout eternity now. Okay, see this? You see this happening in the clouds. My face showing up in the clouds out by the moon. Here it shows up on Easter with a crown over my head. So be still and know that I am God. Most Christians are familiar with this command, but not so many take it seriously. Okay? They're familiar with that phrase, but they don't take it seriously. You here at this channel, if you take it seriously, you can be still and know. I have taken your faith to knowing. And just know that I am God. Okay? Most Christians are familiar with this, but they don't take it seriously. For those who do, blessings flow like streams of living water, don't they? For those who believe me and trust me, who can be still and know, well, those who do, those blessings flow like streams of living water. And these believers, these my followers, the people that follow me, sit in stillness, focusing on me and my word. Their perception of me expands, and their troubles shrink in importance. Don't they? Don't I make your troubles shrink in importance? I want you to share in these blessings. So take time and take time with me. While you rest in my presence, I untangle your thoughts and help you view things more biblically. Remember, my word is a lamp to guide your feet and a light for your path. So biblical thinking illuminates the path before you so you can find your way. You get that? My word is a lamp to guide your feet and a light for your path. So your biblical thinking is what illuminates the path so you can find your way. It's crucial to know not only that I am God, but that I made you and you are mine. You are a sheep of my pasture. Sheep have a very limited understanding of what their shepherd is doing for them, but they follow him anyway. Similarly, as my sheep, your job is to trust me and follow wherever I lead. When you trust me, you see what happens. And more than just sheep, you follow your followers. You follow me on YouTube like you follow someone on Facebook. You follow them on Instagram. You follow them. You follow me on YouTube, don't you? Oh, yeah. Goody. What? You do? Okay. All right, here you go. There you go. All right, back to the reading here. So, I have even more. Okay, I got more for you guys. So, for those of you that trust me, I am your joy, and these 4 words can light up your life. And since I am always with you, the joy of my presence is continually accessible to you. You can open up to my presence through your trust in me, your love for me. Some good prayers are, Jesus, you are my joy. My light will shine upon you and within you as you rejoice in me. Ponder all I have done for you and all that I am to you, and this will lift you up above your circumstances. Okay, so when you need to be lifted up above your circumstances, ponder all that I have done for you and who I am to you. That will lift you above your circumstances. So, when you became my follower, I empowered you to rise above the conditions in your life. I filled you with my spirit, and this holy helper has limitless power. I promised that I would come back and take you to be with me in heaven, that you may be where I am forever. So, whenever your world is looking dark, brighten your perspective by focusing on me. Relax in my presence and hear me say, Beloved, I am your joy. And the only protection I need from you, the only protection I need is from you. There we go. So there we go. Did you guys catch some of that? Good. And you guys are doing a great job. All right, so I think that's it for tonight. What's this? Oh, I guess I got one more thing for you. We'll do it to this one here, I guess. Darken that up a little bit so I can see. There we go. So one last thing. It's important. Do not dwell on the past and see that I am doing a new thing. So as you begin each day, rejoice that I am continually working newness into your life. Don't let recent disappointments and failures define you or dampen your expectations. This is the time to make a fresh start. I am a God of unlimited creativity, so expect me to do some surprising things in these next few days. Today is a precious gift. The present moment is where I meet with you. So seek my face throughout each day that I have made. I have carefully prepared it for you with tender attention to every detail. I want you to rejoice and be glad in it. So search for signs of my loving presence as you journey along the path of life. Look for the little pleasures that I have strewn alongside the pathway, and sometimes in surprising places too. And when you see those, recognize them and thank me for each one. Your thankfulness will keep you close to me and help you find joy in your journey. That's it for tonight, you guys. I sure love you. Do you see that? I sure love you. I sure miss you. And until my next show, well, let's just kind of go a little bit back here and say some thank yous here. Thank you, Amy and Jimmy and Leslie and New Insight for being here. Where did oh, he didn't make it tonight. That's okay. Dawn, thank you for being here too, sir. Tina. Yay, you guys had a good time. All right, good. Oh, Mr. Dentimus Chaos. And Tiger Eye, too. All right, well, thank you all for being here. Thank you for a moment of your precious time. I think you see how important it is for 5 minutes of your precious time. I think when you find out how precious, that you took that moment for me, that it was well worth it. Okay, so thanks for being part of the family. You guys really are. For those that trust and believe me, you find the peace that just outshines all your circumstances. And much like what's going on, you see these signs happening all around you. Look up. You'll see me coming in the clouds with power and great glory. This is my face right here on Easter, showing up with a crown, indicating power and great glory. If you're caught up with what you see here, it's interesting, it's intriguing. You get caught up in it like a good song or a good book. Well, then you are caught up with me in the clouds. See how that works? You're caught up with me in the clouds. You're raptured. The word rapture is not in the Bible. So if you're here and you're caught up with me in the clouds, where I have gone ahead and made a place that where I am, you may be also here at this channel in the air of cyberspace, because I can't come over and give you a hug right now. Well, then you are indeed raptured. You are complete. You now know. Your belief has been taken to knowledge. Okay? So, well done, you guys. Keep practicing these disciplines. They're tools to use. Okay? When something comes up and smacks you, blindsides you, like the Schumann resonance, or somebody says something way out of line, or the news takes you to an ugly place, take a break, take a few deep breaths, refocus, regain your composure, pray a couple of prayers. One I have been saying a lot lately that you will find relief with too. And it sounds cliche from an AA, but it's just God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. The things you cannot change are basically people. You can't change other people. You got to accept that you can't change other people. The only person you can change is yourself and your perspective on things. Okay? So, God, grant me the courage, grant me the serenity to accept the people I cannot change. If you stick with that one right there, it will help you through the course of the day when you're having incidents with people that are irritating you or could be, hostile towards you. Any kind of circumstances, God grant me the serenity to accept. When you accept something, then it's not so hard on your mind. So you're asking God to grant you some peace, which is serenity. And you get that serenity by accepting that you can't change some things, that Jesus is in control. Okay, when you let go of control, all of a sudden things aren't so stressful. All right, it's hard to do. We get caught up with so much going on in the physical world that it's hard to keep one foot in the spiritual. Okay, my case is the opposite. I am in the spiritual so much that I have to take a break and put one foot in the physical and go watch some mundane, just off the hook political stuff or whatever, just to take my mind off the battle for a minute. Meanwhile, you guys are the opposite. You're watching all the physical. You need a break from the physical, so you put one foot in the spiritual. All right. So, indeed true. You guys are part of a very precious royal family, too, by the way. Okay. The more you believe me, the more you trust me, the more you get out of it in proportion. You are indeed children of God, the Most High. All right. I love you. I miss you. I can't wait to see you. We have lots of work to do in the meantime. Keep salvaging your day. Even if it didn't work that day, go to bed that night and work on it the next day. Sometimes that's what it is. We just need to go, just sleep on it. And then the next day you'll feel better sometimes. All right. Keep working on salvaging your day, trying to bring that light and that peace and comfort into other lives. The peace and comfort you get from me, try to bring that into other people's lives. It's going to be very, very important here pretty soon, I think. So, in the meantime, I love you. I miss you. I got to go. But until my next show, I will be back. I'm a man of my word. My word. I'm a man of my word. I will be back. I am already back. And I'm still to come. Till then, bye.